Let us discuss the first chapter in the textbook Spectrum. The name of the chapter is Divided Times: How Literature Teaches Us to Understand the Other. Divided Times is an extract taken from the opening speech of Amanda Michalopoulou at the Second International Literature Festival in Odisha. This extract started like telling a story. There were four Europeans, a Greek, an Englishman, a German, and Spaniard. They decided they would each write a story to explain the different human conditions. The Greek said he would write a story about a man who had returned from the war. When he returned home, no one did recognize him. Englishman has decided to write a story of a young prince who cannot decide if life is worth it. Spaniard decided to write a story about a farmer who believes he is a knight and undertakes several foolish adventures. German has decided to write about a young man who falls passionately in love with someone else's wife and dies of love in the end. If we look at these Europeans, we can understand the way how Homer created the epic, Shakespeare the drama, and Cervantes the novel Wanderlust, and Goethe cultivated the soil of Romanticism. These classical writers produced marginalized anti-heroes in their works, and marginalized anti-heroes are popular even in the modern and postmodern narratives. They are very popular among the readers with different interpretations. Here, Amanda Michalopoulou asks some questions regarding the characters. Who are they really? What do people around them think of them? What do they think of themselves? There are many interpretations regarding these characters. Michalopoulou says that apart from the traditional interpretation, these characters can be read from the perspective of the other. The other can be any individuals or groups who are labeled as not fit to the norms and values of a social group. In the next paragraph, Amanda Michalopoulou takes Odysseus as an example. The experience of Odysseus on the island of the Phaeacians can be seen in similarity with the contemporary refugee crisis. Therefore, the character of Odysseus can be read from the perspective of the modern refugee crisis. Most of the countries are not willing to accept and give shelter to them. Usually, in the eyes of people, refugees are considered to be strange and terrifying figures. Same way here, in the eyes of Nausicaa and her companions, he was a stranger and they were terrified when they met the first time. Moreover, they considered Odysseus as an ill-kept lion, and he was struggling to stop his hunger. Nobody was willing to give him food and shelter. Odysseus can only assume his position as a hero once he was washed and put on clean clothes. If we consider Shakespeare's Hamlet, Hamlet was also a madman in the eyes of Claudius and Gertrude. Don Quixote was a middle-aged gentleman who read many books about chivalrous knights, determined to undertake a great adventure to win his lady-love Dulcinea. He was also a madman to villagers. When they asked him why he is wandering around in armor during peacetime, he introduced himself as a wandering knight, an ambassador of God on earth. Here, Don Quixote also had an image of the other in the society. Michalopoulou says that literature helps us to understand the other with all their peculiar qualities. In many works, there will be a hero who struggles for his existence. Sometimes he considered it as a sign of courage. He is the one who fights for his freedom, his idea, his aesthetic, as does in James Joyce's Stephen Dedalus in A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. Literature forms another form of education. It helps us to understand the mind and heart of people. Literature teaches us how to empathize with the other. So, when we read works of the European tradition, we begin to understand the situation of the other. Odysseus is not a merely filthy shipwrecked man, but he was also a victim of othering in the island of the Phaeacians. The same way, number of Odysseus refugees are arriving on the shore of Europe every day. This is not a new thing for us. We have to empathize with them. They are the one who struggles for their existence. We have to change our attitude towards refugees. Never accept the view propagated by media. That is not the reality. It tells us other is not what it seems.